Hey, what's up? Dr. Brian here. Let's talk about scores closing doors. Um, we're talking about USMLEs. We're talking about doctors that I see in forums online and on Facebook, wondering if their scores are closing doors to things like internal medicine and then what they should do with it. And I'm specifically talking about a few posts that I've seen over the last few days that I didn't have time to respond to. Um, but I have a little bit of time today. So we're going to go through a few posts, answer some questions while I'm pulling that up. My name is Dr. Brian. I have been doing this for 16 years, worrying about how IMGs can get into programs and make the most out of all the work that they put in to try and get into residency. Okay, so this is an anonymous post. I'll actually scroll through a few of these. And this one kind of caught my attention because this is one of the more frequently asked questions in terms of matchability. Okay. So, anonymous member, don't blame you for putting that. I recently got my step 2 CK result, 229, and honestly, I'm feeling pretty shattered. I remember, and again, I've been doing this a long time. Okay. Way back in 2007, 2008, when somebody got a 229, they would throw a party. It was considered a good score. Obviously, times have changed. Now people celebrate only if they get above a 240 or a 250. And here's what I will tell you. Okay, before I get to the rest of this this message or this post, 229 is not an application killer by itself. Does it make it a little bit harder? Yes, but your application is not dead yet. Okay, so let's take a look at what else he said. I'm IMG from Pakistan. I've been holding on to so much hope that this exam would be my breakthrough. I think most people do. Yeah. Well, I'll prove myself on step 2 CK. Good news is you still have the step 3 to fix this a little bit. I juggled my studies with hospital duties, night shifts, and being a full-time mom, which unfortunately programs don't get to see that unless you mention it in the personal statement, but they don't get to see that your level of difficulty was higher. No offense to all my single people with no kids, was much higher than someone that didn't have to worry about the things you have to worry about. Okay. There is a holistic review of your application. And if you explain this to us, if you explain it to programs, then it can be taken into consideration. Okay. Certainly during an interview, you would have to bring it up at some point. Let's finish the rest of this. Um, Despite giving it everything I had, I know a 229 isn't considered a strong score in the current competitive match landscape. Scores aren't everything, and I'll show you why in a bit. Right now, I'm full of questions and self doubt. Okay, so let's look at these questions. Will the score close doors for internal medicine in the US, especially in New York? No, 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 no. It does not by itself close doors. Does it make it a little bit harder? Yes. Okay. But there are things we can do. Um, when you get a 229, the door is not quite as open. It's not closed. Okay. To pry that door open, there are things you can do. Step 3 is one of them. Yes. So you have time. It's June 22nd. Should only take somebody with that score 4 months to study for the step 3. Okay. US clinical experience will help you as long as it's hands-on and at a teaching hospital. So that'll make a difference. I don't know if you mentioned your visa status here. I'm going to say it because of the country you come from. In countries where, oh wait, you're a full-time mom, right? Okay, so you're married already. So we're not even going to talk about marrying somebody for with a green card or U.S. citizenship. So it doesn't close doors. In fact, every year I have somebody match that got below a 220, oftentimes below a 215. This past match, we saw a doctor, and if you're worried about your scores, this is a worse situation. Okay, she had a step 1 218, 3 attempts, a step 2 CK 210, no step 3. Year of graduation, 2012. Yeah. So that's worse. Like that's a significantly worse situation. And she matched. She matched. She matched into Texas Tech, which is good in internal medicine. So it doesn't close doors in New York. Uh, it depends which program. It doesn't close doors at places like, I would say, Interfaith, Bronx Care, um, Brookdale to some extent, but you better go past your step three. Like Conrad likes for people to be strong in the USMLE, because it does reflect on the program. So it doesn't bury you in New York. You just have to apply to the programs that uh, won't eliminate on below a 220 score. Let's look at this. What can I do from here to build a match worthy profile? I just said it. Get on your step three. Um, get the crying out about the step 2 CK. The closer you are to the step 2 CK study, the easier step three is going to be to study for. You're going to be in the rhythm of doing MCQs, the rhythm of, you know, sitting in front of a computer or reading for USMLE. So I would do that right away. The thing with the step three is you shouldn't fully expect. It's rare that I've seen somebody beat their step 2 CK score. You don't necessarily have to do that. Okay. The step three is harder. It wasn't designed for you. And if you got a 229, it wouldn't be surprising for a 229 to get something like a 219 on the step three. Um, Step three is easier when you take a course. Um, there are courses out there that you can take. If you're a mom, these courses help you be more efficient. They help you uh, understand and go through the questions better. Um, Mass Conrad Fisher is the go-to guy for step three. It's the only person I would ever go to on that. Right now, let's see. Yeah, you already asked it. Don't fucking do research, please. Your research will not help you. It won't resolve the 229. Okay. Step three will. US clinical experience will. So even if you can get something, like if you studied hardcore now and you took it by the end of August, it's pushing it. Hopefully you've been studying, but push it to the end of August. You should try to squeeze in one rotation somewhere. Um, so step three first, if you can get in the rotation and study simultaneously, ideally you want to do that, but leave research alone. Research needs to be genuine. These things that people are getting where they're looking online and somebody posts in Facebook, hey, we're about to finish a study. If you want to get on this, we can put you on as an author. Like programs know this happens. Like they know they can spot BS research a mile away. Okay. Or if you don't do miles, kilometers away. So don't waste your time with research, not now. Uh, Research is really good for people that already have like a US clinical experience in the year that they're applying and they have the step three done already. And then the research definitely helps. Okay. Um, so I know many of you have walked this road or walking it, and I would really appreciate honest advice. Thank you for reading. This journey has been overwhelming. Okay. Trying to believe there's a way forward. There's definitely a way forward. Okay. This isn't back home. I know in places like India, the Philippines, they do it to some extent, not as much as India. Uh, Bangladesh, I think they do it like this. Pakistan, um, back home, your scores determined which specialty you belong in. They don't do that here. I mean, yeah, the more competitive the specialty, the higher score you're going to want because the other people want that. But you're not all of a sudden pigeonholed into something like family medicine because you got a 229. Not that there's anything wrong with family medicine. But I am a strong believer in that um, when somebody's passionate about a specialty, they need to get into that specialty. And there are ways that you get around what you consider a low score. Um, like I said, I mean, that one doc didn't just have the step 2 CK 210, she had 3 failures on the step 1. Okay. Old graduate 2012. So if she was able to match, and I've seen people match with lower scores than that, you should be able to too. Do not stop. Um, Also, don't rush the step 3. Like, don't rush the step 3 just to get in to this next cycle, because if you fail that thing, then that's going to be a gigantic problem. Okay. So you prepare for that and you take it when you think you're ready, and you do not take it based on when the application process begins. Okay. In the fall. All right. So hopefully that helps. Please don't give up. You've gone too far. If you were I guess we're probably maybe the same age or younger. If you were my sister or my cousin, I'd say don't give up. Okay. Let's see. Hopefully that helps. Let's see. Radiologist, my wife. See if I can help in any of these. I don't think. Hold on this. Nope. I want to make a better CV, but I have not attended any seminars in my med school. How can I attend webinars to make my CV better? Webinars aren't going to make your CV better. Steps, steps and rotations. Eventually, research would make it better. Can a PGY? We can do this one. Can a PGY1 categorical? Oh, I know who posted this one. Oh, I answered this on the other page. Okay. If you're interested in joining USMLE Virtual Library, nope. Let me just see if there's anything else. Hello, is it easy for Filipinos? Hey, kumusta ka na? Who are graduates of the University of Santo Tomas, otherwise known as UST, the top, outside of UP, the top medical school in the Philippines. Oh, there's the other one. To get in once USMLE is passed. Uh, oh, she was not anonymous. Florence May Cruz Bulatao. Uh, every other culture, I'm not biased, okay? Maybe I'm a little bit. Close your ears if you don't want to hear this. Filipinos have an easier time getting in, especially from those two schools. Like those two schools, programs here, no. Like in certain areas. But I will say this, it's not because of the school you went to necessarily. It's because of the Filipinos that came here before you, like my father, that came here, and even the nurses that came over here to practice. And the Filipino culture is well known in the medical community here. The command of English is every program knows, all right, Filipino, they speak English. We're taught in English in the Philippines. It's basically one of the languages you have to speak if you're a doctor. Um, Also, personality wise, and again, no offense to any other culture, there's more of a warmth, a natural warmth. Like even if they weren't trained for interviews, there is more of a sense of humor, a natural warmth that will come out in an interview situation, um, versus another candidate from another country that was equally untrained for an interview, where they might be more memorized and not quite as ready to show personality in an interview. So I I've never lost a Filipino in a match. And it's not because I'm biased. It's because they have a tendency to be easier to train um, for interviews. Okay, let me just see. Do you guys think is okay if I resonate with one LOR from a DO? The other two would be for MDs. Absolutely yes. Okay. If you're applying to a residency and you have a letter from a DO, it's fine as long as, and this is for everybody, it's not, well, it is who's signing it. It's where the letter is coming from. So if it's from a teaching hospital, an accredited teaching hospital in the US that has a residency program in the specialty that is writing you the LOR, yeah, DO is fine. DO is basically, here's the DO, okay? A DO is an MD that knows more stuff. They know like how to crack your neck and straighten your back or whatever the hell DO does. I know this because when I did my clerkship back in a long time ago, I rotated with DOs. They knew their stuff. They had the same Robbins book we had, the same Harrison's, but they would practice other things too, basically like chiropractors, I guess. But yeah, the DO is perfectly fine. Um, yeah, no problem with that. Some of the some of the coolest program directors I know are DOs. All right, let's see. Um, Year of graduation 2016, no problem. Just make up for it with USMLE and Step 2 CK. Recently completed FCPS and PEDS. Now want to give steps and apply for PEDS residency. What are my chances? Your chances at this point are, are high, mainly because you don't have a score reported yet. So at this point, you have the advantage of someone that looks that where their CV looks like they're interested in PEDS already. And that's really important. I'll tell you why. All these pediatric people, like no, sorry, these internal medicine people, a lot of them have used PEDS and psych and family medicine and neuro as backups. And so you'll have somebody with a clearly like internal medicine background applying for a PEDS position, and programs in these pediatric programs, they filter these people out. You know, if it looks like you're using them as a backup plan, well, we're not going to interview you. Okay. Um, so you're going to want LORs from pediatric rotations. Um, so yeah, your chances are good. In terms of the fact I'm a mother of two, is it doable for me? Yeah, it's doable. If you need help, obviously. Hopefully your husband helps or you have your in-laws. I know with certain cultures, you didn't say your name here, so um, if you're from one of the Asian cultures or Middle Eastern cultures, your even Latin cultures, your parents or your in-laws are going to come over here and help with the kids. That's great. Do it. It's doable. Just be ready to dedicate at least 6 hours a day to like solid USMLE study, and don't delay yourself. Okay. Um, I would make sure you got the step one done first on its own. Okay. Um, get that done. Don't even think about US clinical experience yet. Start your CK, depending on how you're doing, and you start to worry about US clinical experience. Your timing right now allows you for that. It's not like you're applying for this cycle. So if you started now solidly, it's June. By January, you should have your step one done. If you start right away, the step 2 CK should be done by March or April, and then you do rotations that summer. I'm assuming you graduated already. That summer, you take your step 3, you're good to go. So, yeah, Peds should be easy for you to get into. Not a lot of my students applied for Peds last year, actually. Interestingly enough. U.S. citizen graduated. There's the big one is the U.S. citizenship thing. That really helps. Haven't taken any steps yet. I want to apply to match in September 2026. Yeah, is it possible? Basically, everything I just said to the other doc. I have a small baby also, but really trying to study and get residency ASAP. I think the doctor I just mentioned would be an awesome study partner for you. You have a lot in common, it looks like. So, like I said to her, if you haven't taken any steps yet, start. The best time to start is now. Take an assessment, see where you're at, get all the material that you need, and then take it by January. Take your step 2 CK, like jump right into it. Take it by March, April, May, depending on what your schedule looks like. Do schedule your US clinical experience. Do that. For US clinical experience, if you're going to aim for like a June rotation or July or August, then you're going to want to start reserving those positions before the match. I mean, you want to aim like around beginning of March. Certainly, I would caution you not to wait till after April to start contacting programs for U.S. clinical experience. And here's why: everybody that just failed the match is going to be looking for U.S. clinical experience too. And so, if you look at the pre-match months, the people in the match aren't going to go for more US clinical experience. All right. They'll wait to see if they match first. So I would try to do it early in the year if you can. It frees you up for, I'm going to say it again, step 3. Let's see. Year of graduation. Okay. So I kind of already answered that. Planning to appear USMLE is too late for me. Stay home mom. I already answered that. There was something with an anesthesiologist here what I actually wanted to answer. Let's see. Want to make CV better. Hello. What about match applications from travel ban countries? Shall they take their apply this year? Ooh. Are we talking about this coming season? All right. So if we're talking about this coming season, here's the question. Hello, everyone. What about match applications from travel ban countries? Shall they take the risk and apply this year, considering the fees of the application process will be lost? I'm not a visa expert. The only people that are allowed to answer anything related to directly visa, immigration lawyers, and DSOs. I will say, it really kind of depends what happens this summer. Right now, and in terms of how many doctors are able to get in, especially with the pause that just got unpaused with the J1s, how many open seats do programs have to struggle to fill in this next month, 2 or 3 months? If they struggle to do it and it's because of visas, then it would be natural for programs to hesitate to offer somebody with a visa issue. Now, the travel ban countries, again, a lot of this stuff is fluid. And when I looked at the travel ban countries, I don't know if it's changed since the last time I looked. Um, a lot of them, they don't send a lot of doctors over here to apply for residency. I mean, if they had put if like India or Bangladesh or Pakistan were on that list, I don't think Pakistan's on there. Are they? I don't think they are. Then there would be a big problem. And if there was a big problem, it's actually good for the next match process. Why? Hopefully, the programs make enough of a stink, and there's enough of a problem that it causes in hospitals where they would have to do something about that, make an exemption or something, depending on what somebody's coming to the country here for. So you kind of have to sit and wait. I mean, let the summer happen. There's a question better answered when we get closer to, say, August or September, when you would have to decide if you're going to apply or not. So I don't know what country you're from, but uh, if I was from one of these countries, at the end of the day, I would hesitate if my country was on that, like on that ban list. I think Libya's on there. Love my Libyan doctors. Like, they've been amazing to work with over the years. I've met some of the best people in my life that were from Libya. They're on that list. If I was telling one of my Libyan friends that was applying, should you apply? Knowing that they either don't have a lot of money or they're struggling to like make ends meet, I'd say probably don't apply yet. Wait and see. Um, wait and see. I'm sorry, there's no better answer to that. All right, so uh, full-time person on clinical positions, please let me know if you're interested. Okay, I'm gonna address this. Okay, you guys have to see this. Any IMG looking for a full-time in-person non-clinical position in New York, please let me know if you're interested. Non-clinical position is a waste of effing time. You do this, you are preventing yourself from doing things that actually help you get interviews, which will help you match. So I would avoid this one like the plague. So Maria and whoever the heck put yes details, please. Do your step 3, go get US clinical experience. That's all you need to be doing right now. I'm a radiologist. Okay, we are radiology, by the way, not that competitive to get into. And because it got really competitive, for some reason, IMG stopped applying for it. Like they would hesitate. And I will tell you, when I've had a doctor that wanted radiology, they got radiology um, because, um, well, they got radiology. They would go prelim surgery first and then reapply and then get into radiology. They would get into diagnostic radiology and interventional radiology down the road. And they've done some really cool things. I know one of my students from 2012, 2013, Dr. Ahuja, he started off prelim surgery, switched to diagnostic radiology, then hopped over to interventional radiology, and then pediatric interventional radiology at Boston Children's, which is basically Harvard. Um, and so he didn't have spectacular, I love him to death, but he didn't have spectacular step scores. Um, so if people are thinking about doing radiology, it is an awesome specialty. It's got a great work-life balance. Um, it's less stressful. It's great, and it pays well for especially for what they do. No offense, radiologists. Okay, no. I recently got my step 2 CK. We already did that one. What else am I missing here? All right. If you're old, um, there's a couple here where if you're really old, that's why I wanted to find the anesthesiology one. One doctor was like 45 years old. Tell you, if you are old, you have a place in the match. There's positions where there are situations where to have an older doctor is a benefit to a program. Why? Well, when if you look at it, and I'll tell you about some of the doctors and their ages that matched into internal medicine, one as recently as like 3 weeks ago when a spot opened up. The advantage of having an older doctor in the United States that practiced back home for a while is that when you pair them up with the other residents that are likely younger, 28, 29, 35, whatever, patients see that doctor walk in and they don't look at their card. They see it says PGY1. Patients don't know what PGY1 means. And so they'll see the 29-year-old or the 30-year-old and they'll say, oh, you're too young. You don't know what you're talking about. Get me your attending, like get me your boss. But then you have a doctor that will go in and will be 45 years old. The patients see the 45-year-old with a little bit of gray hair. They don't assume you're a PGY1. They go, oh, this guy must be the attending, the faculty. The 45-year-old resident helps to balance off the younger ones. And it's you have that sense of responsibility that, no offense to the younger doctors, if a doctor has 2 kids, raise them while doing USMLE and US clinical experience, they are more likely to be able to multitask better than a younger doctor that has no responsibilities like that. All right. That's not all young doctors, but if I have to bet on somebody to multitask, it's the dad or the mom that did all of this under duress. Okay. So I would just keep that in mind. What a couple other things. Let's look at this. Hi all. Let me just turn this off real quick. 1 second. Wow. All right. Ba-da-ba-da. Please give me your honest opinion. I am 32 years old, graduated in 2016. No big deal with the 2016 thing. I did my post graduation in radiology in India. My mom is a mom of a 3-year-old. Yay. Had the 2-year break during PG preparation and 6-month break after the baby. I worked full time, 6 days a week. Will I be able to crack USMLE while working full time? It'll be hard. It'll take a while, but yeah, you can do it. I've seen people do it. I've seen people do it with 2 kids. I actually have one of my students now that did it with 3 kids. So yes, but I would also make sure that in a personal statement, that you would mention somewhere that you did this, that you studied for steps with your kids or with having I guess, a 3-year-old, a 4-year-old. Yeah. That way you kind of get credit for I guess, the level of difficulty you had on the steps. So yeah, you can do it. Will it be hard for me to match into radiology? Again, no. I mean, it depends. Your scores need to be there. I mean, ideally, last the last radiologist, one of the most recent radiologists, had a 223 on step 1 and step 2 CK. So that's not a great score. Personal statement was good. Yeah, so, and you have a background in radiology. So yes, get go above 230, above 240 on your steps. Much easier to get into radiology. Aim for prelim surgery. You could go another route. The prelim surgery is I think the easiest route that we've seen. I've never lost anybody going to radiology that did their prelim surgery first. Okay. Um, the other thing that would make it easier, do a rotation somewhere. Um, Radiology rotations are few and far between, but if at least you can come over here and show that you know how to, even if you did like an IM rotation or gen surge rotation, what we want is um, to make sure that programs know that you've used EMR here before, that you know how morning report works, that you're familiar with the environment and the responsibilities of what a resident would do here, right? So, yeah, you should be able to do it. Don't let anybody tell you you cannot. Um, and I see some of these just past the steps. You don't need to go for residency in the United States. You got to do residency in the States. You could go for fellowship. Like if you did a residency back home, you could do a fellowship here first if you wanted to. Um, yeah. So can anybody guide me on how to get certified? um, I'm an old graduate. Old 2018 is not old. Stop it. Currently working as a general practitioner. I have a master's degree in public health. Great. So she got an MP. He or she has an MPH. My USMLE scores are step 2CK 227. What are the chances of getting matched? That depends. It'll depend on your US clinical experience. That is the one thing. And if you require a visa, then you're going to want your step 3 because your CK score makes it scary for a program that needs to sponsor your visa. Because if you can't pass the step 3, which somebody with a 227 might struggle a little bit studying the step 3 easily or passing the step 3 easily, um, then you're going to want to make sure they know you can pass the step 3 by giving them a step 3 score. So I would certainly do that. Um, Tips before the match season starts. Step 3, get 1 month of US clinical experience at a teaching hospital if you can. That's all I would do. Oh, personal statement. I'm actually going to host a personal statement thing coming up probably in the next 2 weeks. So I guess go on the mission residency page or on my profile, then I'll post it there. Personal statements is on the factors used by program directors to determine if they're going to offer you the interview. Personal statements up there. It's like in the program director survey for NRMP, it's number 5. It's number 5 after passing the step 1, your step 2 CK score, US clinical experience, your LORs, and MSPE. It's 5 on the importance factor. And what a lot of doctors are doing with the personal statement, they're messing up their application. Number 1, last year was the first full year of the Chat GTP4 personal statement. Well, a lot of doctors got away with it last year. A bunch did not. Um, so you have to recognize that a Chat GTP4 personal statement, even if you modified it, you would have to really modify it for somebody not to be able to tell. And here's the thing. There's no need for perfect writing in the personal statement. In fact, when I'm helping my students edit a personal statement and we're working on it together, like If it doesn't sound like how you talk, if they didn't catch you cheating in the application process, like reviewing your application holistically, they'll catch you when you get interviewed because they'll see that the person talking in front of me now doesn't sound like the person that wrote this personal statement. And one of the worst thing you could do in an interview is lie. Being nervous doesn't lose you an interview. Um, you know, communication skills that will lose you an interview. Maybe lying in an interview will cost you the residency. Okay, so um, the ChatGTP4 has its place as an editor, as maybe to get suggestions, but you got to write your own PS. Um, you'll benefit from it. People with more red flags, so older graduates, people with low scores, doctors that have failed any of the steps, the personal statement is more important. It because it's a chance for you to explain why you have those red flags and why a program shouldn't be concerned by it. There are some candidates will write the PS, and because their application is really strong, like great scores, great USMLE, US clinical experience, a recent grad year, sometimes they don't even get to the personal statement, right? So you just offer them the interview. They're qualified every other way. The When somebody with a strong application uh, has a PS, what that does, it helps with those really high end programs where they've got a great application, but so does everyone else, right? So, as an exaggeration, Mayo Clinic and Cleveland Clinic, you're up against a lot. And so, if there was one interview slot open and there was two candidates that had really strong applications, the personal statement on one for one doctor can put them over the top and they get the interview. The more interviews you have, the better chance you have of matching. Okay. So yeah, that's the PS. Again, if you add me as a friend, and you you can, I guess, follow um, the page that's at Match with Dr. Brian. I'll do a personal statement thing online. Which materials for general power time? You don't really need that. Okay, I think we'll end it there. If anybody has any questions, I guess type it in the comments. I'm going to go through a lot of these. I haven't had a lot of time to go through a lot of these posts lately, but I love answering them. And if you have any questions, just DM me. All right. Hope everyone's doing well. Peace. Actually, I'm really curious about some of these other posts. 1 second. Ooh. Oh yeah, let's look at this. Psych or anesthesiology. Those are two very different specialties. If you had said psych and neuro, that would make a little more sense to me. But step one, passed, no attempt, good. Step two, CK 241, no attempt, good. So you're going to meet almost everybody's minimum requirement for your steps. Multiple US clinical experience at doctor's offices, that fucking doesn't count. That doesn't count. That means nothing to programs. Oh my. Over 10 years plus experience as a healthcare professional in the US and still licensed to practice. Licensed to practice what though? You have a limited license, and everybody should consider the limited license, by the way. If you don't know what that is, a limited license to practice is when you apply for it. Usually takes, I think, 3 months to 6 months, depending, to process it. And then you would be allowed to practice in a place like New York State, as long as you have a doctor that's willing to sponsor you and work at the facility. You would have you'd be practicing under supervision, but it's hands-on. It's paid. You could get paid anywhere between, it's hourly, but a full-time position would be something like $60,000 to $114,000 a year, and it's hands-on clinical experience. I mean, it's not traditional U.S. clinical experience, which you really should get at some point. But I know when my doctors have traditional U.S. clinical experience at a teaching hospital already in their application, I automatically tell them go for the limited license. It gives you a little bit more depth as far as your familiarity with practicing medicine in the States. It also allows you to support yourself, while you're waiting for your residency to start. So going back here, year of graduation 2025. So recent graduate, no research. How are you a recent graduate and you have U.S. Okay. Um, where you have 10 years. You must have been doing something else. No research or publications, US citizen. So the US citizenship helps. You don't necessarily need your step 3. In fact, with a 241, you don't need it. It will help you, but you don't need it. You better fix the US clinical experience thing, because I've seen, especially this past match, somebody with scores like yours, right? Without a step 3, recent grad, they lost a lot of interviews because they overestimated the power or the strength of their LORs. Doctors' offices do not count. They don't count towards the minimum requirement of what programs want. Private practice does not do what a residency program would do. There's no morning report, there's no noon conference, there's no didactics, there's no rounds, there's nothing. It's just you in an office doing God knows what, because there's no regulation on it. These accredited hospitals have to offer you and provide for you a minimum amount of education. Like there's a minimum requirement for them to maintain their accreditation. If they don't do it, they lose their accreditation. So it's standardized for the most part, and it's recognized. If any of you are applying with letters from a private hospital, private clinic, and they called it an externship, here's how you can tell that the externship is bullshit. Okay? Externship, by definition, is a hands-on clinical experience at a teaching hospital. Okay? It is basically like clerkship. So clerkship is before you graduate. Externship is after you graduate, and you perform the same stuff. You go to your morning report, you go to noon conference, you do all the didactics. When I see somebody offering externship at a private practice, and the letter is from the private practice clinic, that should be a crime. They're lying to you. All right, you're paying them good money, right? That you really can't be afford to just be throwing money at something that's not going to help you. Externship at a private practice clinic is not an externship. Yes, it's external to the program, but it's not considered by residency programs as a genuine externship. You shouldn't be touching patients. An externship is when you know it's real if you're at a teaching hospital and they require you to have medical malpractice insurance. That's the one thing that would tell you you're allowed to legally touch patients. Okay. So this you definitely have to fix. Nobody's going to be impressed by your 241 if you have bullshit US clinical experience. All right. I think we'll call. Let me see. I don't know if it lets me see what you guys are commenting on. A bit of tidbits from a program coordinator. Are you applying for residency here next year? We'll start. Yeah. All right. So, long story short, don't let your scores determine if you're going to match to a specialty. Make sure that you fix it with your whatever step you're taking next. If you've got a low score on step 2 CK, like below a 230, below a 220, you can match still. You can match. You just have to compensate with other things on your CV, like the US clinical experience and the step 3. Please don't touch research yet. Okay? Do those 2 things first. You guys will be fine. All right. Peace out. Hopefully this was helpful to you. And if you have any questions or you want to attend like a personal statement session, a primer session, or a match primer session, just add me as a friend, DM me. I'll send you the information. Peace. This is Dr. Brian, Mission Residency. Peace out.